May I come in, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Yes, come in.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Not very looking warm.
Take your seat. Aashna. Aashna, you are appearing in examination for last 2 years or 3 years?
Sir, this is my third attempt.
This is third attempt.
Yes, sir.
In earlier attempts, you qualified or not?
No, sir, I did not qualify prelims. This is my first mains as well as first interview.
Right. But you are not coming in proper dress. Why?
Sir, the formal attire for the interview is to be sari, and I have chosen a cotton silk sari to choose, and I've chosen to wear it on this day.
Right. You don't like to wear the coat?
Sir,
Because this is winter season.
Sir, I will take care next time.
This is the winter season.
Winter, you need
Yes.
to be
Yes.
properly clad.
Ah.
Yes, ma'am.
Sari is all right, but you know.
Yes, ma'am.
You should not make any compromise with climate.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Aashna, why you preferred the government job?
Sir, I hail from Uttar Pradesh, and here, if you are good in academics, either in Uttar Pradesh or Bihar, your family expects you to join the government services. So initially, I was introduced to the idea of government services right from my grade 7th or 8th, because I was very good at academics, and later on, I developed this interest as well.
Your father and mother both are earning person. So why not other jobs?
Sir, my father is in the government job. He's a professor in a government university.
Right.
My mother is a homemaker, but she also owns some land. So she's one of the very few landowners in the country, women landowners in the country.
She has some income from there.
Yes, ma'am.
Your preference is, first preference is IAS.
Yes, sir.
Why?
Sir, because IAS provides you a diversity of experiences as compared to the other services that are more specialized and domain specific. And I have always vouched for diversity in my career, and this is why I chose IAS as my first preference.
Your subject was English in BA.
Yes, sir.
But in IAS, you have left the English. Why?
Sir, it is because 60% of my BA honors syllabus was overlapping with the English literature curriculum that is followed in the civil services, and it was becoming kind of repetitive. So I wanted to learn something new, and this is why I chose anthropology.
The reply may be, it is not too much scoring.
So it is
In
highly...
IAS and PCS, it is not too much scoring.
Sir, it is highly...
That's why you left it.
I wouldn't say so, sir.
You are coming from Jat land, Hapur.
Yes, sir.
Jat land. That is called Jat land. Who was the great person of your Jat land? Who did something for the society,
So
particularly for the farmers?
So the former Prime Minister Chaudhary Charan Singh, he hails from Noorpur village in the Hapur district.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Why he is so great? Why? For the farmers.
Sir, he himself hailed from a farmer family, and to reach a high level such as the Prime Minister of India, and also on the national forum to talk about the problems of the farmers and such issues concerning the farmers, was a great step that he took in terms of farmers' welfare.
But Aashna, some other persons are also having the background of the farming. They became the Deputy Prime Minister and Prime Minister, they would have like this.
Yes.
Why they are not known as a leader of the farmers?
Sir, I would say that we have had quite a few prime ministers who have done quite a number of things for the farmers, such as former Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri. He gave the slogan Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, and also MS Swaminathan sir has also been commissioned during the times of Lal Bahadur Shastri sir for the Green Revolution and to look into the problems of the farmers in India.
Aashna, what is the difference between giving the slogans and doing the work?
Sir, there is quite a difference between the two. While the slogan targets the nudge component or the behavioral component, the work at the praxis level is more instrumental.
The man becomes greater by his work.
Yes, sir.
What is the work of the Chaudhary Charan Singh?
Sir, he has...
Man work by which he is known as the leader of the farmers.
Sir, I cannot recall the particular works that he has commissioned in farmers' interests.
Yes. For your knowledge, the main work is Zamindari Abolition Act. Chaudhary Charan Singh was the agriculture minister of the UP. He abolished the Zamindari system in Uttar Pradesh. That's why he is a leader of the farmers and he will remain the leader of the farmers forever.
Thank you, sir.
Aashna, the country is governed by which document?
Sir, the Bharatiya Janata Party, National Democratic Alliance.
I want to know the name of the book, not the party.
Sir, could you please repeat?
The document.
By which document the country is governed?
The Constitution.
The Constitution of India.
Yes, sir.
So, when it was implemented? When it was implemented?
Sir, it came into being on 26 November 1949 and was implemented from 26 January 1950.
How many articles are there?
Sir, there are 395. Initially, there were 395 articles, and now a few others have made their way to the Constitution by way of amendments.
What is your view about the reservation?
So the reservation is a debatable policy. Reservation is a form of affirmative action that has been implemented in order to reverse the historical injustices that have been faced by various sections of the society. A certain kind of affirmative action is required and has been and has also been implemented by various developed countries as well. But a reservation in particular is subjected to various debates, involving the creamy layer debate, whether it should be given to the economically weaker sections as well, or should be subjected to only the socially deprived sections, and there are certain debates surrounding the reservation policy in India.
Whether the creamy layer is a good thing or not?
Sir, I feel...
To exclude a group, to exclude a particular group called a creamy layer is proper or not?
Sir, I would like to bring in the court judgment in Indira Sahani case in 1991 that introduced the concept of creamy layer for the other backward classes section of the society, so that people who have already done well in the sectors where they are in, they do not take away the benefits from other sections which are deprived, and has also been seen in the Jaya Jaitley committee report, wherein it has been found out that the reservations policies has been cornered by 27% of the OBCs. So yes, sir, creamy layer is important, but to introduce it to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes is again debatable, because these are the sections that have been deprived for many years, and they still face issues such as untouchability. They still face issues such as discrimination in the public spaces despite being made into the services. So yes, I don't think so it would be feasible to introduce the concept of creamy layer to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes.
For reservation, what are the standards given by the Constitution for providing the reservation? Sir, what are the standards provided by the Constitution?
So, socio-economic deprivation.
Not only. Economic nahi hai.
Okay, sir.
There is no economic. Educationally and socially. Two things. But here the creamy layer is based on the economic standard. Why? Is it proper or not? Is it against the Constitution or in consonance of the Constitution?
Sir, this has been a long-standing debate since the time of Indira Sahani judgment again. And recently we have seen economic criteria being considered in the 103rd Constitutional Amendment of 103rd Constitutional Amendment as well. So again, it is, sir, it is very debatable, but but looking at the framework wherein the economically deprived sections are also socially deprived and face social depravity, I think it should be extended to the economically weaker sections as well.
What is the nature of our constitution?
Sir, by
nature of the constitution.
Sir, I did not get the question.
What is the nature of our constitution with regard to the preamble?
Okay, sir. Sir, the constitution has been emanated from the people, and it derives its powers from the people. It is a sovereign, socialist, secular. It vouches for a sovereign, socialist, secular, and a democratic and a republic form of government.
What do you mean by republic?
So republic means that the highest post, that is the head of the state post in the government, can be is open to all the citizens of the country, subjected to various criteria.
What is the difference between democracy and monarchy?
So democracy refers to the rule by the people, of the people, and for the people. And whereas monarchy is a hereditary position, that is a hereditary form of government wherein people from one family generally rule.
Right. But in India, it appears that there is a type of monarchy.
Sir, I wouldn't say so, because we undergo an election process. We are the world's, India is called the world's largest democracy. So I wouldn't say that there is a form of monarchy. Yes, it might be that the seats are cornered by one party, but I wouldn't say so there is a monarchy at all. There may be, the people have chosen that party for themselves.
For example, Chaudhary Charan Singh was the Prime Minister of the country. Why his son?
So we use a term dynastic politics for such nepotism being performed in the party lines.
But not monarchy.
Yes, sir.
Right. Yes, sir. Okay.
I see your choice of services. You've chosen DANIPS and DANIX as 7th and 8th
Yes, sir.
Preference over many class 1 services. Why?
Sir, it is because I'm mostly in the North Indian and the Delhi belt, and considering that I have mostly been in this belt, and I would be more comfortable if I've been asked my preferences. I would say I would be more comfortable in this belt. Also recognizing the fact that I'm appearing for the All India services, where I could be asked to serve anywhere. But if they ask my preference, I would say I would like to remain in this belt.
But the negatives of lack of avenues for progression as compared to other services, wasn't that a consideration?
Yes, sir. Sir, I've thought ample, and I think these are my areas of interest. Again, the police service, which I have opted for as my third preference, DANIPS is more closer to that, and civil services is more closer to the administrative services. So these are the domain that I would like to traverse.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, since police, IPS is your third preference, what ails our police? What ails the Indian police?
Sir, there are various challenges that are faced by the Indian police. Infrastructural challenges are one of them. Long working hours are another are a set of another challenges that are faced by the Indian police. The Indian police, lack of public support and lack of trust from the public is another challenge that the police services face these days.
Why the lack of trust from the public?
Sir, I would say it's a chain effect. When the police turns their back to the public, to the problems of the public, they also become a little disgruntled with the workings of the police and do not support them in the functioning. So yes, we need to overhaul the system that has been going on for centuries.
So what are your recommendations for overhauling the policing system in India?
Sir, my recommendations foremost would start from the inculcation of the ethics through a regular training program, at regular intervals. Another one would be to clear laws that support the police functioning, as well as regulate where the police cannot interfere or should interfere with caution. Also, sir, I would like to recommend that the infrastructural issues should be handled at a fast pace.
You spoke of ethical training to the police. What about accountability? Do you think police is accountable? Police should be made more accountable to the Constitution. Theoretically, it is, but in the practical aspects, should it be made more accountable to the Constitution of India, to their owners, that is public?
Yes,
and
sir.
And how can it be done?
Yes, sir. Definitely, the police should be more accountable. There could be an annual report that is to be submitted on the workings of the office of the police officers, as well as
that is already done.
Yes.
That is always done. ACRs is always there.
Yes, sir. Sir, the other manner could be specific and dedicated laws that check the functioning of the police through regulation, as well as providing them certain impetus to and a free hand to work. Again, there should be a strengthening of the National Human Rights Commission in order to probe into matters such as encounters done by the police. So these are some steps that can be taken.
We find many cases of late under special acts like UAP and on, where the charge sheets are not filed for very prolonged period, and finally people come out on technical grounds or for lack of evidence or something like that. For 2 years they are behind bars and they come out. So what about these cases? How can police be made more accountable in such cases?
Sir, again, the ethics training is very important for the police, the inculcation of ethics. Moreover, we need to register the problems with the law and need to define laws, need to streamline laws rather.
Okay. Would compulsory compensation to the victim, say the convict, and would some compulsory punishment to the police be more effective, would prove more effective?
Yes, sir. But sir, the government should also take into account that it's a fiscal, that the compensation is not made from the fiscal account of the government. Rather, should be directed directly from the police police official who is responsible for the matter.
All right, but sometimes the arrests are made on political whims and fancies.
Yes.
What about those cases?
Sir, those cases need to be identified, and certain solutions need to be identified.
Do you recommend continuation of Armed Forces Special Powers Act in, say, southern parts of J&K? J&K UT, southern parts meaning Jammu, Samba, Kathua, and these districts. Do you recommend continuation, or you would recommend discontinuation?
Sir, I would recommend continuation with certain reforms incorporated in AFSPA in order to check the draconian events that have taken place, for instance, in Rajouri and Shopian killings.
No, I'm not talking of changes in the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. I'm talking of the rationale of it continuing in these districts of Jammu, Samba, Kathua, where there have been no incidents, no terrorist-related incidents for quite some time, almost a decade now.
Sir, I think they should be continued because these are still the buffer zones. So if in zones very closer to them are volatile, the volatility may spread subjected to the discontinuation of the presence of the armed forces.
Okay.
Yes.
Aashna, I see from your this thing that you anthropology
Yes, ma'am.
as your subject. And as the chair mentioned, maybe it's more scoring. So what is your main area of interest in anthropology? What did you learn? What did you pick up as you studied? Because it's a totally new subject for you. You never studied it in college at all, is it?
No, ma'am, I did not study anthropology in college, but after college, I did a course on globalization and theatre where I was exposed to the works of various anthropologists. Ma'am, my area of study, the area of study in anthropology which I particularly like is the tribal studies.
Tribal studies?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you particularly like about it?
Ma'am, I really like there is one chapter in the anthropology curriculum for UPSC which deals with the issues faced by the tribal populations and how these issues can be eradicated for the upliftment of these populations.
So you think if you become an IS officer and you join the IAS and you're posted to one of these tribal areas, do you think you'll be able to do something given your knowledge of anthropology and related to the tribals? Do you think you'll be able to make a difference in their lives? Because you know they are sort of on the sidelines and they are not being, part of the mainstream as much as they should have been, or allowed to be also to sort of progress in their own habitats.
Yes, ma'am, I think so. My knowledge of anthropology would certainly help because I would not only have an outsider's view but also would try to gain an insider's view to their problems. These are called the emic and etic approaches in anthropology.
The pardon?
They are called the emic as well as the etic approaches to anthropology.
I see. Okay. And if your second choice is foreign service, but you're saying you don't want to go beyond the northwest, North Indian belt. So if you do get selected in the foreign service, would you refuse?
No, ma'am.
You would join?
Yes.
And you would travel the world?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you know about diplomacy? What are your ideas about diplomacy and what is happening in the world today? How effective has Indian diplomacy been?
Ma'am, I'm also doing my master's in international relations from South Asian University.
Okay.
And so diplomacy, I would say, is a way of outreach to the outside world from one nation, one sovereign state. And with regard to what is happening around the world, Indian diplomacy is gaining a good outreach. In terms of Russia-Ukraine war, our stance has been quite important, wherein India has chosen to go with their traditional approach related to non-alignment, that we have seen that coming up. In relation to China, we have mostly worked in favor of our national interest and in the vein of strategic autonomy. Indian diplomatic efforts become all the more important with India all geared up to host the G20 summit next year as well as the SCO summit. So yes, ma'am, Indian diplomacy is gaining wide currency also in terms of India vouching for the UNSC reforms and India's stand on the UNSC resolution 2593 recently on Afghanistan or 1325 on women, peace and security.
Do you think the UN reforms, the Security Council reform will come through in your lifetime? I'm doubtful it will come in my lifetime, but you think it will happen in your lifetime?
Ma'am, with the pace the world is changing, I'm quite hopeful.
And the relevance of the UN in given that it's been unable to, really find any proper solutions for what is happening for conflict in the world. And one of them, what is the main reason for the UN to be established? To prevent conflict. So it has not completely, succeeded in that. So do you think that it's going to change anytime soon? Or it will continue to be P5? You're aware of the P5?
Yes, ma'am.
Which are the P5 countries?
Ma'am, USA, UK, China, Russia, and France.
And are they constantly vetoing everything that is against their own interests, as you've been seeing?
Yes.
So, in the Ukraine war, for instance, could the UN Security Council have done something? Could they have done something? You think?
Yes, ma'am. I think UNSC could have, as has been done, some resolutions have been passed in the UNSC, but various groundworks have not been done. The peace forces have not been sent, which the UNSC could have. So,
but why will it send? Russia's party, US's party indirectly.
yes.
So and Europe, NATO. So do you think they would have been able to find a solution? No.
Yes.
Isn't. I doubt very much if a solution could have been found. But coming to another aspect of India's foreign policy outreach, in the neighborhood, including with China, Pakistan, do you think Indian diplomacy has been doing what it should do, or it has been lacking in some areas? What are your views on that?
Ma'am, in terms of the bilateral talks with Pakistan, we have faced certain reverses after the various terrorist attacks. With China, Indian diplomacy is quite involved, and there were certain news yesterday as well, wherein the foreign minister said the bilateral talks are going on, and both the sides respect each other. Also, the Peace and Tranquility Treaty of 1991 is not dead entirely.
In what way? Not dead entirely means, is it alive? And there should have never not been any skirmishes at all. 93 and 96 say you have to maintain peace. So yes. Do you think it is being successfully or properly implemented?
Ma'am, I would say there have been certain reverses, but things have not escalated to the level of the 1962 conflict. So yes, in some ways the treaty has been a success.
Is it because of our neighbor's attitude to India? China, that is? You think it's because of that this is not happening?
No, ma'am. India is also behaving very responsibly.
And we are a big power now.
Yes.
So, big economic power. But at the same time, China still feels it can put us down. So, how do we handle a neighbor like China?
Ma'am,
which is surrounding us almost, in all of our neighbors, including Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, everywhere. So
yes,
what are your views on that?
Ma'am, India is gaining outreach in terms of infrastructure building, in terms of port initiatives such as Chabahar Port in Iran. So yes, in terms of infrastructure building, India is doing well. In terms of, however, there are various problems that India is facing in terms of countering China. One of them is the resource crunch that we have faced, especially after the pandemic. The trade deficit that we have with China, and the crucial inputs that we import from China, such as 80% solar inputs. For 80% of solar inputs, we are still dependent on China. So economic segment is one major problem or hindrance that India faces. Another one is that we lack a national security, a dedicated national security strategy, or a China-specific security strategy as well.
You think so? We lack that?
Yes, ma'am. We do not have...
What do you think it should be then, if the current strategy is lacking?
Ma'am, we should...
I think the strategy is pretty good overall.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the strategic theatre commands on which we have been trying to establish the strategic theatre commands for the past 5-6 years, but we haven't been able to do so. Also, the Indian Air Force squadron strength has also not reached its full potential of 42. In the maritime sector, also we have started deploying the indigenous submarines and the aircraft carriers, but that has been done only recently.
That's right. And what do you think of Quad?
Ma'am, Quad is a very good initiative that India has been a part of, but India should also make sure that it retains its strategic autonomy and national interest, and and Quad does not become an alliance that India has always denounced.
We will not be part of an alliance, but we are part of that grouping. Yes. And we can shape that agenda, and including in G20, including in the SCO. But if you look at SCO, it has China, it has Russia, G20 again. So you think we will be in a position, and why will we be in a position to be able to manage these controversial and contradictory, contradictory pulls and pressures? You think we'll be able to manage it, and why? Why do you think it should be possible in today's day and age?
Yes, ma'am. I think we would be able to manage it. One, the world is moving towards multipolarity, with India as one of the major players in it.
Why?
Because of because of our economic growth.
Exactly.
India is the 5th largest economy in the world, the 3rd largest military spender in the world. Also in the space sector, we have done quite well. So yes, India has a say in these global forums. In the recent years, our soft power potential has also grown immensely. India is hosting these councils. So yes, again, the presence of Russia and China provides a forum for provides a platform for India to engage with with them bilaterally as well.
We are already engaging with them. So that is not going to be a major thing, but it's because of our heft, economic heft, and economically we are doing well. I think that gives us some, and of course our soft power. Soft power and soft diplomacy is a very important element of diplomacy. That's all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Aashna.
Good afternoon, sir.
What is the meaning of your name?
Sir, my name is an Urdu origin word which means beloved or companion.
Beloved or companion?
Yes, sir.
Who would you say is your favorite companion?
Sir, my mother.
Your mother?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why?
Sir, she has been, throughout the course of this regressive preparation, I have been at home and she has been the constant support that I have had by my side.
Okay. Who has played a bigger role in your life, your mother or your father?
Sir, both have played roles, their respective roles, but since my mother has sacrificed her career for the sake of us, I would say my mother has shaped us into the humans that we are.
Okay, wonderful. So from the conversation that you had with the other honorable members, I get an inclination that you have a liking for military and military spending and armed forces and all that. Is that true?
Sir, I have...
Can we have an engaging conversation on this over the next 2 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It is said by several analysts and experts that India has superior capability when it comes to air combat with regards to China. Why?
Sir, I am not sure, but could it be Rafale?
But you seem like you knew something about. Okay, what is INS Vikramaditya?
Sir, the aircraft carrier that we imported from Russia.
What is so special about it? We imported from Russia. Acha. Okay, go on. Tell me a little more about Russia and the aircraft carrier.
Sir, sir, it was the first aircraft carrier that was inducted into the Indian Navy. We imported it from Russia.
Is it in commission or no?
No, sir. No.
Not in commission?
No, sir.
Then what did the Honorable Defence Minister launch a few months ago?
Sir, INS Vikrant.
Okay, what is INS Vikrant?
Sir, it is the indigenously developed aircraft carrier.
Acha, what can you tell me about Dhanush?
Sir, Dhanush, I'm sorry, sir.
No. Okay, what about Bofors?
Sir, the artillery guns.
Okay. More, little more.
Sir, Bofors, I cannot recall their origin, but is it, if I may, is
you
it...
can take a guess. Go ahead.
Okay, sir.
I give you the permission to guess.
Sir, Bofors artillery guns, have we imported them from South Korea?
South Korea. What is THAAD?
Third, sir, would be...
I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with S-400.
Sir, S-400 is the military equipment that we are importing from
Let's
Russia.
move on. Never mind. English. To bait fish with all, it will feed nothing else, it will feed my revenge. Where is this from?
Sir, could you please repeat?
To bait fish with all, if it will feed nothing else, it will feed my revenge.
I'm sorry, sir.
No! My God. Come on, Aashna. Okay, give me an example of blank verse. English. English honors from Lady Sri Ram, and you don't know. Very surprising. Phonetics. What is phonetics?
So the similar sounding words.
Really? How many phonetics? Okay. Let's move. Now I know why you take an anthropology. Okay. Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. Why did the Homo sapiens continue to thrive but the Neanderthals went extinct?
So the over-specialization of the Neanderthals is one theory that has been put forward.
Okay, there are other theories. Give me three other theories.
The other theory would be their size, the head to body ratio has been quite high.
Popular theories. Go on. No? You said UAPA is draconian. What do you think of sedition law? Tell me.
So sedition is a colonial.
Is it also draconian?
Sir, it is a colonial era law, again subjected to some debate.
Should we do away with it? Your personal opinion.
Sir, I would say if the government that introduced it in India, the UK government has done away with sedition. India can also think of doing away with it with certain other provisions in its place put forward.
What kind of provisions? What is the role of the sedition law? You tell me that.
So sedition law has been. So sedition law was introduced in IPC 1860 and as
no, I don't want to go into the history and all of that.
Yes, sir.
Why is it used?
So sedition law to subdue the subdue
whom?
To subdue the people who incite violence against the government or aim to incite violence against the government.
Chalo, never mind. Huh? What do you think of the encounters in Uttar Pradesh?
Sir, as a part of Operation Langda, certain encounters have been made.
No, you tell, not just certain. There have been encounters. UP is very famous. UP police is very famous for encounters.
Yes, sir.
Huh. What do you think of these encounters?
Sir, the encounters at certain levels become necessary. However, a compulsory NHRC probe into the encounter should be made.
So, but are you for them or against them? I didn't understand.
Against them.
You are against encounters of all kinds?
So, not of all kinds.
Huh. Then? How do you differentiate then?
So, in general, this is why I say that...
I'll give you an example.
Yes,
okay, you become an IPS officer.
Yes,
you are somewhere in UP. Hypothetical situation. Think about yourself, put yourself there. Okay?
Yes, sir.
There are some 20 gundas who are charging at you. You have your service revolver with you. You are standing there. One has a sickle in his hand, one has a knife in his hand, one has weapons in their hand. They're just charging at you. They are at 10 meters distance. What will you do in a situation like that?
So in a situation like that, I would, since I'm good with the weapon that I am holding, I would try to charge it at the foot or at the foot, but not hurting them so that they know.
And the person dies by mistake. Is that an encounter or not?
Sir, I wouldn't classify it as an encounter.
Just now you were saying that you have a problem with encounters. Okay, thank you, Aashna.
Yes.
Hi. So you just mentioned about NHRC, that NHRC will be taking up the probe further. So don't you think NHRC has some kind of, it really has some kind of role, or what? Will it be able to justify, or does NHRC justify its creation? What are your views on that?
Sir, the creation of NHRC was a very noble reform on the part of the government, and it has also gained currency in the international sphere as well. However, the workings of the NHRC in the Indian context are subjected to various controversies. Also, they do not enjoy the real power, and that has also been noticed by the Supreme Court.
Okay.
So, sir, it should be given some teeth.
So what reforms do you suggest to make it a tiger and not a toothless tiger?
Sir, various reforms can be taken, such as making the certain probes in case of NHRC mandatory. Another thing that could be done is to look into the vacancies that are a part of the NHRC. Okay. Not only NHRC but also the state counterparts should be taken care of while bringing about these reforms. The members of the NHRC should be appointed after careful scrutiny by the members of by a committee comprising of the members from the judiciary, from the executive, from the leader of opposition, and so on.
Okay. And you belong to Pilakwa, no?
Yes, sir.
So what is so famous about Pilakwa?
Sir, the handlooms in Pilakwa. There are 120 medium scale industries and 1400 power looms as well in Pilakwa.
So how is it doing now?
Sir, it has been doing good. There are exports that are made from the sector as well. So it has done good mostly, but due to COVID, the work could not be continued for some time due to the labor shortages.
But various newspaper reports suggest that this power loom city, as it is called, is facing a stiff competition from the neighboring Bangladesh and China.
Yes, sir.
So is it so? Is it true?
Yes, sir, it is true, because of the economies of scale that Bangladesh and Vietnam have been able to attain, and we have lagged behind there.
So let us say you are a district magistrate and part of district administration over there. So how you are going to create or give them back their due work which they were having before this Bangladesh stepped into this? So what reforms do you have? What do you have in mind to give them back their due?
Sir, Uttar Pradesh government is already pushing these kind of initiatives, such as through the One District, One Product scheme. So I would certainly want Pilakwa to feature in that scheme as well. It could be one. Also to provide them to commission their work on the government portals. This can be done to provide them with market. Some weekly hearts can be arranged, so in order for them to showcase their work. So these things can be done.
Okay, and what is so famous in agriculture in your area when it comes to the agriculture point of view? For what it is known for?
Sir, we generally grow cereals such as wheat, rye, paddy as well. Sugarcane is grown as well. The western Uttar Pradesh.
So I guess your home must be near to various sugar processing units as well.
Yes, sir.
So how this sugar industry is doing as of now?
So there are areas to the farmers. There is plenty of sugar, but that sugar is lying because they could not. The sugar mills cannot afford exports, or they do not become so affordable for them. So recently, the government stepped to turn them into ethanol, or the ethanol production has also not been received very well by the sugar mills because it requires a lot of investment on their part as well.
So any alternative would you suggest, giving the topography of the area with regard to the agriculture, some cash crop?
Yes, sir.
What alternatives do you have?
Sir, with the government's push for millets, the millet industry can, the millet cultivation can be explored. Also, the depletion of the water resources in the area and the problems regarding various other issues such as stubble burning, these should be taken care of. In terms of environment, in terms of nutrition, I think a shift towards millets would do.
So have you read today's newspaper?
Sir, I have glanced through it.
Okay. Any important news with regard to your option? Tribes in general, in particular?
Yes, sir. There was a news regarding denotified tribes and the nomadic tribes.
What it is about?
So the denotified, sir, I just glanced through it. I did not read the entire news. But the denotified tribes are the tribes that are a part of the Habitual Offenders Act 1952 that has come upon in order to reverse the Draconian Criminal Tribes Act of 1871.
So what in general they have been demanding? Let us say, keeping aside today's news, what in general is the problem with the denotified tribes and what are their demands?
So the denotified tribes, various denotified tribes are not made a part of the scheduled tribes. So they are not able to access the benefits such as reservation and other government initiatives as well. So that is one problem. Social depravity is another problem. There is a lack of public trust where people find these tribes engaged in criminal activities even today, and there has a social stigma has been created where a person who in society who is creating havoc is generally called a conjure, which is also a denotified tribe. So these are the problems that these tribes are facing.
And do you think that implementation of Khaka report in particular is going to help anything, or is it just an abstract report as there have been earlier reports?
No, sir, I wouldn't classify the Khaka report as a general report. There are various detailed provisions that have been inserted into the report as to how the scheduled tribes conditions can be improved. There are certain reforms that have been suggested in terms of resettlement policies, very clear and specific reforms in terms of indebtedness, how to curb the indebtedness. So I wouldn't classify it as a general report.
And it's been almost 75 years we have our constitution. What about Schedule 5 and Schedule 6 of the constitution? Do you think they have been able to make any dent in the upbringing of tribes or some difference they have created?
So the Schedule 5 and Schedule 6 have come about as the integrationist policy of the first Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Yes, Schedule 5 and Schedule 6 have brought about various changes in these areas in the form of autonomous district councils as well as the tribal councils. While the tribal councils as a part of 5th schedule are still have still not been given much power, the autonomous district councils in the 6th schedule enjoy a lot of legislative, executive as well as judicial powers.
Schedule 5 people have been demanding that they should be shifted or given the same status of Schedule 6. Do you think will it work?
Sir, I do not think so. Rather, in my opinion, there would be, while we already face a lot of division in the country, there would be, it would call for some more divisions.
Okay. Aashna, now we come on feedback. I, and on behalf of other honorable members, we bless you. Number first. Taken for day-to-day affairs, नेशनल इंटरनेशनल, उन पे तैयारी आपकी कम है, ठीक है? तो ये जो आपको पीरियड मिल रहा है, इसको तैयार कर लीजिए. जैसे अभी आपसे पूछा जा रहा था, रिप्लाई वर नॉट प्रॉपर, ठीक है? तो ये नेशनल एंड इंटरनेशनल अफेयर्स जो है डे टू डे, ये आप तैयार कर लीजिए, ठीक है? नंबर 1. नंबर 2, जब आप किसी क्वेश्चन का रिप्लाई प्रॉपर नहीं दे पाती हैं तो फिर नर्वसनेस आप में डेवलप हो जाती है, ठीक है? इसको दूर करिए.
ओके सर.
बेस्ट ऑफ लक.
थैंक यू सर.
नथिंग मच. यू स्टार्टेड वेल. थोड़ा सा एज ही सेज के बीच बीच में नर्वस हो रहे थे. एंड सर्टेन क्वेश्चंस दैट यू आंसर्ड वर इन द शेप ऑफ क्वेश्चंस. लाइक ही सेड बफर्स. Your answer was RT guns. I mean, as if it was a. Initially, when he asked you why are you not properly dressed, your expression was कि ये क्या सवाल है. So take control of your say body language and expressions. ठीक है. Yeah. But you recovered and answered it properly. But initial couple of seconds was ये क्या question है. And just one thing, it was rigorous preparation that you did, not regressive.
Okay, sir.
You probably mistakenly used the regressive. And as regards to the question I asked about police reforms and all, I think police reforms is a current subject. Bureaucratic reforms, in fact, is a current topic, widely discussed, and you should study a little bit more about it. And AFSPA, which I asked again, you have answered okay, but then there are other aspects. Buffer zones like Assam, they have removed AFSPA and all that. Yes, so you have to balance that answer. Give your opinion after giving all aspects of the question.
Thank you, sir.
Overall, I think you performed pretty good, but as mentioned, a little more, self-assurance, a little bit more, and not asking questions back, and say, yeah, I'll keep that in mind. And overall, I think you did a good job, but a little more preparation of facts, and your answers should be a little more
concise.
Little more concise. Focus on that and brush up your knowledge. You've done well overall, but just keep it going, and all the very best to you. And your self-assurance, you have to pick up and talk to yourself and see that you do it, deliver. Okay. All the very best to you.
Thank you.
Okay, Aashna. Yes, brutally honest feedback, or you want me to sugarcoat it?
No, sir, brutally
honest.
Okay. So brutally honest, since you have some time. Okay, the positives first. You have a very pleasant personality. You have a warm smile. You seem confident. You're composed. All of that you have going for you. I want you to go back and look at how your body language is during the feedback. That is how you need to carry yourself. Because by nature, you're polite, you're kind, and all that comes through. But when you're sitting there for the interaction itself, you seem a little nervous, you seem a little, scared. But how you're reacting now is far better. You're smiling constantly, you seem attentive, you're not expecting or seeing what your next sentence should be. You're in the moment.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's what is something that is going to work for you. Fundamentally, some fundamental things that you should avoid. You said, getting into the government sector because whoever is good in academics in UP and Bihar will go into government sector. That's stereotyping.
That's
okay.
Yeah.
And then you also say that I'm very comfortable in this belt, so I want to be here. So it's like, घर से बाहर ही मत निकलो ना, घर पे ही बैठो, घर की रानी बन जाओ. Isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't that what it conveys?
Yes.
You're going into an all India service, so it should be like, now if you say why Danix, I'm just giving you an example. I want you to formulate your own answers. You can say, Andaman and Nicobar Islands gives me a great opportunity to try and serve the nation at the grassroots level. There are so many challenges that come through, and I know that someone who can lead from the front can bring about the kind of change that that region requires.
Yes.
Isn't that a much better answer
Yes.
than saying, I want to be in my cow belt? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Formulate your answers like that. I'm not
Yes.
going to go into every answer, but that's what you need to do. Avoid words, heavy words like, dynastic politics, nepotism, draconian. It opens up a Pandora's box. It can take you anywhere and you'll be trapped. And I gave you an example of that when you started speaking about Strategic Theatre Command. I would have never taken you into, INS Vikrant, INS Vikramaditya, Bofors and all of that. You opened up that gate. So I just took you there to tell you that this is what you can do. This is how you fall into traps. Avoid traps. Instead, you lead the interaction towards your strengths. You need to identify what your strengths are, what your plus points are, and then you can drop those hints or drop those words so that the interaction will go in that direction. Okay?
Yes, yes.
Makes sense or no?
Yes, it does.
Okay?
Yes.
All the very best. You'll do very well. Just keep this in mind. Okay? Best of luck.
Yes.
So apart from everything, just more specifics are required with regard to, let us say, you're a district administrator working with the sugar industry, nuances of sugar industry problem and crisis. So more specifics are required, and I guess your anthropology optional revision is required. So once you will go through it, things will be better accurate. So I guess this is all for today. Over to
आस्था
you,
बस
please.
ये है कि आप रिप्लाई में कंसाइज कीजिए
Yes, sir.
और जब आप प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट कब होगी, जब आप खुद क्वेश्चन पैदा करेंगे रिप्लाई में.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, जैसे मैम ने आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछा था तो आपने एक चाइना प्रॉब्लम तो क्रिएट कर दी. ठीक है, डोंट डू इट.
Yes, sir.
ये होता क्या है, एक सिस्टम है बोर्ड का, हम लोग बोर्ड फेस किए, फेल हुए. ठीक, तो वो अगर बोर्ड के ट्रैप में आप फंस गए तो आप बाहर हो जाएंगे.
Yes, sir.
कोशिश करिए बोर्ड के ट्रैप में आप न फंसें. ठीक है, एक तो बोर्ड का ट्रैप होता है, एक अपना खुद का ट्रैप है कि हमने इतना रिप्लाई दे दिया ऐसे कि उसमें खुद फंस गए. ठीक है, तो आपको कंसाइज नॉलेज में भी मोर और लेस, नॉट मटेरियल. मटेरियल इज योर रिप्लाई शुड बी कंसाइज. ठीक है, एंड डोंट बी नर्वस.
Okay, sir.
जैसे अभी आप रिप्लाई नहीं दे पा रही थी, आपके
Yes, sir.
प्रॉपर रिप्लाई वाज नॉट देयर. ठीक है,
Yes, sir.
उसके बाद आपके चेहरे से दिखाई दे रहा था कि आप नर्वस हो गए. ठीक है, तो ये नहीं होना चाहिए. तो इसका 1-1.5 महीने का टाइम है आपके पास, तैयारी करिए.
Yes.
और ये जो आपकी नेशनल इंटरनेशनल डे टू डे प्रॉब्लम है उन पे आपकी तैयारी कम है. ठीक, उसको तैयारी करिए.
Okay, sir.
बेस्ट ऑफ लक.
कब है इंटरव्यू?
Sir, mine would be after 10th March.
10 मार्च तो अभी टाइम है
After
आपके
10th March.
पास.
After
इस
10th
बीच में
March.
कंसंट्रेशन पूरा रखिए.
Okay.
ठीक है, हाँ, तैयारी में टाइम लगाइए और कंसंट्रेशन अच्छा होगा तो हम लोगों की आपके साथ शुभकामनाएं, और हम आपको देखना चाहते हैं एज IAS ऑफिसर. ऑल द
Thank you
बेस्ट.
so much, sir.
Or IFS?
I-
फॉर योर नॉलेज, शी इज फॉर्मर IAFS ऑफिसर.
Okay, ma'am.
Hopefully you will be there.
I was
And
very
he had been the
confused between
ambassador.
IFS and IAS as my first choice.
But if you have to go, you go, but go with an open mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Always, whatever you're going to do.
Yes,
The minute you say, मैं यही करना चाहती हूँ, सिर्फ इधर रहना चाहती हूँ, you're going to, also as he said, fall in the trap.
Yes.
So be careful on that.
Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good. All the best.
to you.
All the best.
All the best.
जाते समय विश करना जरूरी है।
हाँ।
नहीं
थैंक
किया
यू,
आपने।
नमस्ते and may I leave?
और जब भी आप जाइए तो विश करके जाइए परमिशन के साथ। मैं लीव तो यस
May I leave, sir?
यस किसको
Yes.
चाहिए? यस यस